Braun.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The average cost of an electric vehicle is over $17,000 more than the average price of a gas-powered vehicle. So we're doing a lot that is force-feeding something in that's very expensive. We got other issues with it. It's in the context of here we're borrowing now a couple $1 trillion a year, where it was just $1 trillion 6 months ago. And everything we do new, it's 100% borrowed. I think what I'm wondering, and I'd like to ask Dr. Jenkins, Ms. Gross, and Ms. Hinman, given this context, do the three of you believe that consumers should have the right to choose the type of vehicle that best fits their own needs, economic circumstances? Or do you think we ought to be orchestrating this from here when we've never even figured out how to spend less than we take in, and we're currently borrowing from these very same consumers and others around the world to the tune of $2 trillion a year currently?
Senator, I would say that consumers do have the option to choose the vehicles that best suit them. We have a wide variety of offerings on the market today and no requirement that anyone anywhere purchases an electric vehicle. The prices are increasingly affordable as well, so this is a moving target. Costs of batteries, which are the largest component of an electric vehicle, have fallen by about 50% over the last 3 years and are expected to continue to decline going forward. And so that cost premium, you cited $17,000. I looked right now in the compact SUVs category, like a Mustang Mach-E or Tesla Model Y, the gap's about $10,000 up front. And again, the cost of ownership is quite low. So the total cost of ownership is already about a parity.
Do you know the current federal subsidy that goes into electric vehicles, what the amount is per vehicle?
It's up to $7,500 for the consumer purchase.
Do you know what that is in total that we're currently doing?
I believe I just read it was about $125 billion. I can get back to you on that.
Would you agree that all of that's being borrowed to push that onto consumers?
Well, CBO's estimate was that the Inflation Reduction Act was more than paid for, so I'm not sure I agree with that.
I'd say that's a fake pay for, but thank you for your opinion. Okay, we'll go to Ms. Gross and Ms. Hinman.
Senator, thank you for that question. I'll just add, without commenting too much on the policy, I'll just add that consumers are choosing these vehicles. Senator Merkley talked about the energy wallet, the fact that you can feel it in your pocketbook when you don't have to go to the gas station, and the cost of electricity is so much less when you're charging an electric vehicle. I'll also say that truck drivers, data out there shows that truck drivers actually like driving electric vehicles because you don't experience that fatigue that you have with the rumble and the roar of a combustion engine vehicle. So this issue of fatigue is also a safety issue. So we're starting to see, there are reasons to want to drive an electric vehicle based on data that's out there that are really extremely compelling for automakers and truck drivers out there, manufacturers.
Ms. Hinman.
Yeah, thank you so much, Senator. I think it's a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation to have about the fact that we've got a very large predatory market who is influencing prices up and down the value chain in ways that Americans just can't simply compete with. And to me, this sense of sort of how much we're spending is really hard to sort of square against the massive amount of spend and predatory nature that occurs from the Chinese Communist Party. In a perfect world, this would be a pure a global market, right? And we wouldn't feel the need to have to subsidize in the way that we do. I do think there's scope for new tools, particularly trade policy tools and environmental policy tools at the border. But certainly, I think some of these distortions, we have to kind of appreciate its source, which is not coming from Americans, but it's coming from an adversary overseas.
Thank you. And I've got one more question, but I'd like to also tell you that it was about 9 months ago, and I was holding up a letter from 4,000 dealers that said, please don't send us any more EVs. And I'm for the cleanest, least expensive, and like the idea that it's out there as a choice. But 4,000 dealers said they are choking on them. It's even hurt their own enterprises to have to tie it up because they're not moving at the speed at which the government would like to see it, even when they're offering $7,500 a pop. Got one more question, and I'd like a yes or no answer on the part of all of you. I'm for whatever's going to be the cleanest, least expensive fuel in the long run, and even how that impacts electric generation, transportation, the whole gamut. There's been a very robust discussion in the Senate Climate Caucus on that, which I was part of that. We still have great conversations, but a lot of it says that so much of this is going to be due to technological breakthroughs in the future. And as much as we'd like to see those results in the present, we either can't afford it, just doesn't make sense to do it. Now, as it relates to electric vehicles, to all witnesses, does the U.S. currently have the grid capacity to sustain a growing domestic vehicle fleet that is being mandated on consumers by policies from the Biden administration? In respecting time, just give me a yes or no. Dr. Jenkins.
We can expand the grid at a pace that's sufficient to accommodate all of those EVs as we have in the past. This is not an unprecedented challenge. It's one that American utilities can easily meet.
With planning and investment, the pace can be met and grid could be ready.
Yes.
We can meet the demands today, and we need to plan for the future, absolutely.
Yes, if you start today and anticipate where the EV demand will be 10 years from now, you can get there.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, can I correct the record on one of the statements I just made? The total tax outlays this year, according to Treasury, are $1 billion for the EV subsidies to date. That's through the first half of this year. I think I misspoke by several orders of magnitude, so I apologize about that.